they put together like that. And it turns out the number was 5711428. And if you sent an email autoresponder to 5711428 at shmoocon.info, it would send you back the last piece of the puzzle that you needed to solve it. Because you notice the first 3 clues have the numbers in it. The 4th piece is what you're looking for. And so I said you could brute force it. Did you use this, find this with ease, or use the force of a brute? Either way, solve the puzzle and collect your loot. So it turns out that if you put them all together with that missing piece, and now just take the stuff and read top to bottom. Okay? THEMAGIC, the magic words to say to Gmark are, give me white beads. And I thought that was reasonably good contest, because I still had, it didn't have a whole lot of white beads, but people could wear them and say, hey, like I solved the puzzle. Well, Team Chicago solved it. Any of you guys here? Any Team Chicago minus? Yeah, you're here. One of the guys who was not on the, he kind of backed out of the team for whatever. So anyway, I had planned, because that was the year they had this badge puzzle where they had a PDP-8 punch card, and I kind of recognized the old punch because it's paper tape, 5 columns, you know, 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. So it was kind of a strange base. You had to run the PDP-8 program. If you ran that program, it produced an output. You then had to run that through an Enigma machine with a certain variant of the Enigma machine. You got the, it was like, come on, who's going to get there? This seemed a little bit more reasonable. And so I was going to get like one, and then if you got it, you got like an 8 gig memory stick. So I said, hey, I'll give somebody a scholarship to go to DEF CON. Well, it turns out 4 people won it. So what am I going to do, right? Well, me being me, I bought them all a round-trip plane ticket to DEF CON because I thought that'd be pretty cool if you're somewhere in your 20s and someone says, hey, here you go, here's, come to DEF CON, scholarship. And then you don't have to wait in line to get your badge either. Took care of that on that end. So when I got to DEF CON, Jolly and company spent their time trying to solve Lost puzzle instead of mine, because I handed things out a little crypto puzzle. At the closing ceremonies, like any hints, and I think you remember, I texted you back, start saving your money for next year's plane ticket because you didn't solve it. By the way, that 2008 DEF CON puzzle remains unsolved. And I don't know whether it was unsolved because it was too difficult, or it was unsolved because people were really drinking a lot, or they wanted to win Lost's puzzle because you got a black badge and you got to come back for free forever. So maybe just getting a free round-trip plane ticket wasn't enough to bribe people. So anyway, the DEF CON 2008 contest, I retreaded it because I hate to waste stuff. And those are the 5, so you already got a hint already. There's 5 different types of badges or computer cards out there. So if you're really fast typist, you can copy all that down, or you can go ahead and make some friends and put it in there. But everything you've heard in the last 46 minutes are all the tools you need to figure this stuff out. It's not that difficult. Somebody's taking a little cell phone picture. Good for you. All right. Back to ShmooCon. So, remember these badges from last year? What was that all about? Torture, yeah, especially because I made a mistake on the 8th badge. You have in the upper right-hand corner, instead of dot dot it, I put an extra dit in there. But there's only 1 letter screwed up. So, as you know, they have kind of barcode, schmarcode. And I was sitting over at Bruce and Heidi's house and their dining room table. I was like, we got to come up with something for these badges because we got to get them off for the printer in a couple days or tomorrow or whatever. So I just whipped something up. And I thought, hey, I was just reading a book that a friend of mine had given me because the guy who runs the Coffee Wars at DEF CON, Foofus, which is a great social engineering hack, by the way. Think about it. The contest is you bring the best coffee from around the world you can find, and we'll grind the beans, and we'll taste it, and whoever wins, wins the contest. Well, you got to bring a pound of beans. Well, what happens with the rest of the beans? He takes them home, and you only used about 2 or 3 ounces of the beans, so he ends up with like 20 really good high-end coffees, almost a pound of each, and that gives him free coffee for the rest of the year. Way to go. So anyway, I've been back, as I mentioned, I was out in Hawaii. I was working out there, lots of trips back and forth, so I brought back my special Kona blend that I really liked, and it won. It beat 23 other things, some a lot more expensive, and I thought that was pretty cool. But I like it. In fact, that's all I drink at home. Anybody from up near Canada knows that you got Tim Hortons coffee. Chris loves that. My son loves that, and we got some, and it turned out that I can't drink it anymore. I guess I get spoiled with the good stuff. And so anyway, we had Morse codes and barcodes. The barcodes are tough to read. Why? Because we print them in an angle, and then the resolution turned them into these, and therefore people trying to do a quick barcode read couldn't do it. It turned out the iPhone barcode reader read them like that. A lot of other people had a hard time. But you can break them by hand. They're not that difficult, okay? They're all digits. And it turns out that if the left border and the right border and the barcode, they all look like that. Anybody know Morse code? My dad used to do high-speed Morse code intercept back in the Korean War, so I kind of learned at a young age to do that and ham radio and stuff like that. It's almost sort of a lost art. But it's an alphabet, and it's very easy to look up. And so if you look up the left border and you look up the right border, and then you either scan the barcode or you kind of learn how to eyeball it, because you can see there's an awful lot of commonality. I wasn't going to take the time to make them perfectly line up on this slide. But you can see there's a lot of core stuff that looks awfully a lot alike. You'll find out that these are the values. And I put them in order to make it a little bit easier. Well, what are we seeing here in terms of information? If we go left to right, M-O-O-S-L-E-T-O-E-H-W, Mooseltoe. Moosel Defense, chocolate mousse. Kind of a theme in here, right? Musketeers, room with a moose. How about in the barcodes? What do you see as a theme? 111 235 813 218. What? Fibonacci. What's Fibonacci? For those who don't know. It's a mathematical sequence where each term equals the sum of the two previous terms. 1 plus 1 is 2. So 1 and 2 are 3, 2 and 3 are 5, 3 and 5 are 8, 5 and 8 are 13, and so on. How many terms of the Fibonacci sequence are in these barcodes? Count them. How many? Because they're all the same in the middle. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21. 8 of them, right? Ooh. 8 characters on the left border, 8 characters on the right border, 8 terms of Fibonacci series, 8 different barcodes. You're starting to see some commonality here. Again, you want to get inside the head of the person who comes up with these puzzles. A lot of internal consistency is a useful thing, because if you get 3 out of 4, maybe you can interpolate the 4th because you say, hey, these all have this sort of thing in common. And so if you take these things and you go, okay, 1 through 8 was so you could order them in a particular sequence. Why would the messages have to be in any particular order? What have you seen that represents an order? Someone said it a minute ago. We got like short-term memory loss? Fibonacci sequence, right? You're going to put things in order perhaps. So what you do, and oh, by the way, what's those rightmost numbers and people trying to figure that out? That's a valid checksum, okay? So it's a legit barcode. That's what it would be if you go through the barcode checksum routine. And so those middle numbers, the fib numbers, here's your table of values. And in there you have all these little fun messages, Mooseltoe and Moosey Fate and Moose Nugget and things like that, but a lot of extra letters on the end. So one of the guys called them telomeres. What's a telomere? Any biology students out here?
In biology, extra stuff at the end.
Extra stuff at the end of a DNA chain that doesn't participate in what the actual instruction sequence is. Okay, it's like the slack space at the end of a file, because files are going to go in certain cluster sizes, and if you only have a 10-byte file, it's going to have whatever's left over in there. So you got a bunch of telomeres in there, HWX, JB, RG. You see any patterns in those telomeres if you put them in orders 1 through 8? Oh, did you see anybody see GMARC? Over here on the right? Wow, how about that? Anybody ever watch, ever read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Yeah, Slarta Bartfast, the guy who made the fjords, put his picture there, and designers autograph stuff. That's a weakness sometimes. It's an advantage if you're trying to solve a puzzle, but it's also a weakness because a lot of times people have problems putting their ego aside, and if you're actually building a real live, no kidding security system or whatever, there might be something that refers back to the owner. Almost like when you're trying to do password guessing in social engineering, you're going to try to figure things out like that. Also, by the way, this is another name that came up. I was rather surprised. If you see Jesus in there, it was an apparition. It was not part of the design. It just happened to show up that way. So God works in mysterious ways. Yeah, and so these are the telomeres. Those are the leftover characters. And if you look left to right, you'll start to see things that you could make sense. Now, I don't know if anybody was going to intuitively get this, but you can't start building a word with HW or HX, but BR, hey, that's a common BRS, no, BRU, BRUC, ooh, BRUCW, Bruce. Hey, Bruce is in there. Heidi, I spelled her name wrong, my fault. And then I put XO at the end because, well, they're married. And so what's left? How many letters are left? Yep, HWXJ, SXZW, OJYN, ZMBT, 16. Whoa, could that be significant? How many letters long are each of the puzzle clues? 16. What do I do if I've got 16 things and 16 numbers? Well, what do I do? You know, and I've also got 8 numbers and 8 fields. What if I start combining them? Got that Fibonacci series, right? What if I have the first row start with 1, the second row start in the first position, then the second, then the third, then the 5th, then the 8th, and the 13th, and I just apply that shift to it. And I shift them around just a hair. That's the fib series. And so now I'm going to take the first one. This comes a little bit off the edge of the screen there, but you can see it over here on the left. You know, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21. And I shift this 1, shift that 2, 3, 5, 8, 13. 21 goes all the way around and wraps around. Again, another thing you'll see an awful lot with crypto is modular arithmetic. You get all the way up to 26, or up in this case up to 16, or up to 256 or whatever, and you'll loop back around again because you can't go up over the top. And so what you get then is you shift all these things around and you get all those messages, and I've left those in the orange, the telomeres that seem to have information in them. I marked them in green. So what's left over is in blue. What do you see? Do you see any pattern with the stuff that's left over in blue? They line up how? 1 per column, right? Why would there be 1 per column? Maybe it needs to balance the columns somehow. So you think modular arithmetic, if you're thinking with letters equate to what when it's easier to work with? Numbers, right? A is 1, B is 2, C is 3. Because it's tough to say what's m plus m, but it's really easy to say what's 13 plus 13. And so what I'll do is I'll go ahead and turn them all into numbers. And now let me just add up each column and see what I get, because I've shifted them the correct amounts. And so the sum of those columns are going to be 113, 102, 92, blah, blah, blah. Well, what do I do with a number that's bigger than 26? I modded 26. I keep chopping out 26s until I get something that's left. And the numbers I get back, mod 26, 9, 24, 14, 1, 25, 0, 15. Okay, well, what's the 9th letter of the alphabet? I. Close. 24th. Z minus 2, X, right? I, X, 14th, N, A. Any words you can think of that begin with I, X, N, A? How about the next letter? 25. Y. I, X, N, A, Y. Is that a word? Ixnay. Whoa. And 0 just might be a space because it doesn't equate to anything. And it turns out that if you convert those things back using 1, 2, 3, up to 26, and there's your code, it equates to the solution, which if you got it right, you got a free pass to come here to ShmooCon this year. It was Ixnay on Usme. And so that was last year's contest, and that's how it was solved. So what kind of sick mind comes up with stuff like that? Well, those are my notes. I found my notes. I said, Bruce, you got any graph paper? He went and he downloaded a piece of graph paper and printed it. It's like, okay, I still have a pad of old graph paper from high school somewhere in the bottom drawer. And those are my original notes, and coming up with the puzzle. So that was, again, about 45 minutes worth of just fiddling around and then trying to figure out the balance and things like that. And that's how you get with puzzles. It's the same sick mind that came up with maybe this puzzle, which happens to have some numbers and digits and things like that in there. And so if you ask around, and you might have a clue if you count the number of images here, and then follow me at G_Mark on Twitter, I'll start issuing you some clues so you can go ahead and start finding out some information about that. So I've got cool stuff. Someone's writing down the numbers, but just look around, look at other people, okay? If it's an attractive lady, be very careful where you stare. You might get slapped, but if you can probably do it diplomatically and read her numbers. And that's Tales from the Crypto. Thank you. But wait, there's more. I'll stick around for questions, but let's get rid of some of this organization right. So, there goes my money clip. Tough getting old. All right, check your badges, or check your cards. If you have anybody has number 014. 014. Going, gone. Oh, got it. All right. Come on up and grab something. 301. So that's 001. Who was the first person I gave one to? Shame on you if you're not here. 001. Okay. 113. I can take all this stuff home if I have to. 615. So that's going to be 015. Nobody? 698. So 098. What the hell? Anybody want to buy a glass for $10 or $5? 261. So that would be